Number 5 reason, industry knowledge and sales skills. Now, this is number 5, meaning that this is the least common of the 5 reasons. And that's really changed since I joined the industry a few years ago. This used to be my number 2 reason. You'll see my number 1 reason in a minute, but that used to be my number 2 reason, was that there just simply wasn't any training in the industry to help agents succeed. And so a new agent will get into the industry like when I got in, and they would just have no idea what they're doing. But really, the honest, simple truth is that's no longer the case. Now, a lot of agents do fail because of this, but they really shouldn't. There's really not a good excuse for that. If you don't understand the industry, you simply go through my training program at ccsalespro.com. There are several other people now that are doing training and providing better resources. So the industry's really changed a lot since I got into it. And not to say that I'm the one that made all that change. I'm just saying when I got in 4 years ago, there really wasn't. I mean, you would go on YouTube and you would search for how to sell credit card processing, and you would find 2 or 3 no-name people on there that were giving you a sales pitch. And now if you go on YouTube and search for how to sell credit card processing, you're probably going to find 80 or 100 videos that pop up that explain to you about the industry and how to sell. And so there's really no excuse for that unless you're brand new to the industry. And if you're brand new, jump right in and start getting into the training. But this is an easily avoidable weakness, but it does cause some people to fail. They just never gain the basic knowledge that they need to have confidence out in the field. Now, how do you know if you have this weakness? Well, how is your initial merchant contact? When you walk in to meet with business owners, how is the initial contact? Are they initially trying to get rid of you? Are they not liking you? That would be your sales skill. How many statements do you get? If you're not getting very many statements, you probably don't have the basic industry knowledge. You don't have the basic sales skills. And so that would be another indication that you have this weakness. Thirdly, how often do you show savings and still not close the deal? Again, that is usually because the merchant either does not trust you or because they don't like you. So if you're showing significant savings and you're still not able to close the merchant, it's almost always because the merchant either doesn't like you or they don't trust you, and that comes back to industry knowledge and sales skills. So if you have that problem, then my advice would be, if you have that weakness, go through my training videos or other training programs and get sales books and go through those and invest time every week on sales training, constantly filling your mind with industry knowledge and improved sales techniques. And that will help you a great deal. But again, that's the number 5 reason. That is the least likely reason for you to fail. I did want to put it on there because it is an issue. But if you feel like, well, I just can't succeed because I don't have the sales skills or the industry knowledge, then really that's a poor excuse. You really should be able to get that fixed within a couple weeks. And again, there's a lot of different training programs out there. Mark Beauchamp has the Bank Card Bootcamp program. I have my program on my website. There's a few other trainers that are pretty good out there. So there's a lot of resources out there for you, and you should be able to really quickly fix this area. So realize if this is a problem for you, and if it is, get it fixed. It's very simple to get this problem fixed. Next, number 4, organized follow-up. Number 4 is organized follow-up. Now, let me ask you some questions so that you can identify if you have a problem with organized follow-up, okay? When you are out prospecting in the field, whether it be over the phone, maybe you're calling people over the phone, or whether you're going out door to door, are you looking for prospects to sell today? Are you looking for prospects to sell this week? Are you looking for prospects to sell next month? And are you looking for prospects to sell next year? Now, my point is not that you should only be looking for prospects to sell next month or next year. My point is you should be looking for all 4 of these prospect types, and you should have a system in place to sell all 4 of them, okay? There are some people, when you walk in, maybe they're a brand new business, they've never done processing before, or maybe you can tell right off the bat that they're upset about their current processor. Maybe it's a lower volume merchant and they don't like their current processing partner and they have a statement handy. Those are people you should sell today. And if you don't know how to do that, I have an entire blog article and video podcast on that. If you go to my website, ccsalespro.com, go to the search bar up there and type in sell on the spot. And I have a whole article about how to do that, but you should know how to sell somebody right now today. That's part of an organized follow-up is, are you organized enough when you go to the merchant's location to make that sale? Are you bringing all the paperwork that you need so that if you do find somebody who wants to buy today, you can sell them today? Okay, next, are you looking for prospects to sell this week? Do you know how to quickly move somebody through the sales process? Maybe not today, right now, but you know how to follow up with them in such a way that you're going to be able to get that sale this week. In other words, first of all, you got to get that statement. You have to get that statement quickly. You have to be able to do the analysis. You can do the analysis yourself if you go through my training video. If you go to my website, ccsalespro.com, click on sales training, and then click on statement analysis. I have a 45-minute screenshot video there that will walk you through exactly how to do a statement analysis yourself. So that's one way that you can really increase your or decrease the sales cycle time and increase your ability to make sales this week. Now, if you're brand new to the industry, you're going to say, boy, I don't think I could do that. I'm not ready for that yet. That's fine. Send the statement into North American Bank Card. They'll get it back to you within 3 business days, usually 2 to 3 business days. And then you should still be able to make the sale within 5 business days. So do you know how to move people through that process quickly? Now, the next 2 is the one where most sales agents miss out. Most of you on this webinar, you know how to make a sale today, and most of you certainly know how to make a sale during the week. That's your norm. But what about sales for next month? Okay? Do you know how to identify that moment in the sales process when that customer is not going to buy from you right now? No matter what you say, no matter what you do, the only thing you can do at this point is either follow up with them later or make them really upset with you. And that's your only 2 choices. Do you know how to identify that moment? Okay, if you don't, you need to learn how to identify that moment, and you need to learn how to put them into your planner for the next month or 2 or 3 months down the road. And so, for instance, if you go into a business and you're pitching them and you leave and realize that person's kind of upset with me, they feel like I pushed them too far, I wouldn't feel comfortable walking back into this business, then you need to learn to identify and say, okay, where did that happen? What was it that I said? What was the point where I should have backed off and I should have put that in my folder for next month? People shouldn't be furiously angry with you when you leave their place of business. So you need to learn to identify that point where you say, you know what? I'm not going to be able to make the sale right now. Maybe the person's just having a bad day. They're in a bad mood. But I'm going to put this as a follow-up for next month. And you're going to give it a whole month. And then you're going to go back when, they don't remember everything about what you said, but they know you. And they're like, wow, this guy's still in the business. That's great. Now, the last one, I know very few agents that have a system to track prospects for their next year. The main reason is because most agents haven't even committed to be in the business for a year. And that's sad, but it's true. Most agents I talk to, it's like they're still evaluating it and they're planning to do it for 2 or 3 weeks or maybe 2 or 3 months, but they haven't even thought through, wow, I could be doing this for a couple years. So because of that, they really kick themselves, because they don't put a process in place to where they can track these sales that are going to be a year down the road. Now, these would be larger sales. These would also be sales where, they have a huge early termination fee and they're just not willing to switch. How many times have you gone to a business, some of you that have been selling a while, and they have a $500 or a $700 cancellation fee and they're just not willing to switch right now. And, I've gone into a lot of those businesses too, but the difference is I wrote down in my planner when their early termination fee was done so I could go back and make that sale. And, I go back there the month of and say, hey, I know your early termination fee's up this month. I wanted to, we talked about it last year, and I'll probably follow up with them a few times during the year and stop by. But that's all part of a system. That's all part of an organizational system of follow-up where I'm going to go back every 3 months or so, say hi, just say, hey, I just want to let you know I still got you my schedule for August. I know that's when your contract is up, and that way we can do an estimate for you and, see how you're doing. Now, if you cultivate a pipeline like that, you would be shocked how easy it is to get sales. The second year, every month, you're starting the month off with 4 or 5 people that you already know that month, their early termination fee is up. They've already shown interest. I mean, that right there gets you 3 or 4 sales a month. And so your second year, right off the bat, you have an increase of 3 or 4 sales a month. Just because you have a good system. Now, not just those, there's other sales. There's, larger accounts where it's going to take you a year to get that sale. And so, having a system in place where you follow up, again, you can see my system real easily. Just go to my website under agent training. If you go down to building your business, you'll see a video there that shows you my organizational system. And it's pretty simple. I use Google Calendar. If somebody tells me they want me to call them back in August, then I put a note in there for August 1st, and it sends me an email to my email inbox that reminds me to call that person or reminds me to stop back. And if I have somebody that's not going to be, their contract won't be up for 12 months, then I'm probably going to put 2 or 3 reminders throughout the year to go back and visit them. And then I'm also going to have the reminder when it's time to get them switched over. So just having a basic core system like that, you can really build a solid pipeline where every week and every month you just have, tons and tons of these prospects popping up in your email inbox that are, oh wow, I forgot about that guy. Yeah, that was a good prospect. Well, I need to go back there. And that will really, really help you, and it will keep you from failing, because if you can get past the first few weeks and a few months, you start to build that pipeline, and it's really going to help you to stop. It's going to keep you from failing, because it's going to constantly be motivating you. Every week you go, boy, I don't know if I can do this another week. And then you say, well, let's see now. I've got 4 or 5 really good prospects this week. I think I can keep going for another week. Or at the beginning of the month, you say, boy, that was a tough month last month, but I've got 15 or 20 people that I can follow up on this month that I know were already interested. And so it'll have a snowball effect, and it will really keep you going. This is one of the main things you can do to keep yourself from failing in the merchant services industry. Lastly, on this slide, most agents start off every week from scratch. Now, here's an interesting thing. Just think about this for a second. Think about this statement. If you've been selling for more than 2 or 3 weeks, you should have 2 sales, at minimum, 2 sales already lined up for next week. And the way you do that is you should have 4 statements to present next week. So you should either have 4 statements that you've got that you're going to present next week, and or you should have 2 people that you talked to. Maybe you talked to them a couple weeks ago. Maybe you just talked to them yesterday. But you have 2 people that you feel like, I'm about 80-90% sure that these 2 people, I'm going to close them and I'm going to get this deal approved next week. If you have an effective follow-up, I'm trying to help you identify, do I have an effective follow-up program? If you have an effective follow-up program, you should have at least 2 sales that are locked and loaded for next week, ready to go. You should have 10 prospects to visit in July. Again, this is if you started selling this month for 2 or 3 weeks. You should already have 10 prospects ready for July, where you try to push them, they weren't interested, they said, I'm really busy, and you said, you know what, how about I swing back by next month when you're not as busy? And you should have 10 prospects for next month. If you've been selling for 3 months or more, you should have at least 30 prospects, 30 for July already in there. Some of those prospects are from a year ago, some of those are from 6 months ago, some of those are from last month, but you should have 30 people where you say, a good time to visit them would be July. Now guys, sometimes I've gone into a business and they've told me they're not interested, and I just can kind of tell that they like me and they're having a bad day and they're not interested, so I can't even move forward. I can't even ask them about follow-up, but I just go ahead and put that in my, 6 months ago, I put that in my July folder as a reminder, and now here comes July. They're going to pop up again. I'm going to go back to that business. Hey, you remember me? I stopped in here about 6 months ago. I just kind of wanted to follow up, see how you guys are doing, and let you know we're having a special this month right now. We're offering free upgraded terminals, things like that. I would also maybe tell them about the month-to-month agreement that's going on, and so it's really important that you have that. All right, let's go to the next one. So that's the number 4 reason. So number 5 reason is a lack of sales skill and industry knowledge. Number 4, an organized follow-up. That's a very, very important one. The number 3 reason why people fail in the merchant services industry, is actually because of other opportunities. I have seen quite a few agents that failed in this industry because of other opportunities. How committed are you to this business? Let me give you a tip on how to become committed to this business, okay? This is what I would do if I was in your shoes. I would set a minimum expectation of hourly income at which point you will fire yourself, okay? Now let me give you a couple numbers. If you are brand new in this business, just starting out, your first month, you should make about $10 per hour, okay? Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but about $10 an hour. So if you do this business for 4 weeks, track how many hours you are investing in the field, in this business, out selling, and then divide that by your total earnings. If you're making less than $10 an hour, you should, maybe look at some of the other reasons that people fail. Maybe you need some sales training, but, you tell yourself and say, look, if I make less than $10 an hour at this business, I'm going to fire myself. Okay. If you've been doing this business for 3 months, 2 or 3 months, and you're into the middle of your second or into your third month, you should probably be making $15 to $20 an hour at this business. So again, you take your total income and you divide your total income by the total number of hours that you worked. Now, let me tell you the danger here. The danger is a lot of agents will say, if I don't make $2,000 a month in this business, or $4,000 a month, or $6,000 a month, then I'm going to quit and I'm going to do something else. Here's the problem with that goal. That goal does not include anything about your effort, okay? So, I've had agents say, well, I want to make $4,000 a month. Okay, well, how many hours did you work yesterday? Well, yesterday we had a family thing that we did. Okay, how many hours did you work the day before that? Well, I did work a couple hours that day, but then I had to get my kid from the doctor's office. Okay, how many hours did you work the day before that? Oh, well, that was Monday, and I take Mondays off, and it's like, okay, and you want to make how much money? So you got to set a goal of how much money per hour that you want to make, because guys, let's be realistic here, okay? If you don't work the business, you're not going to make any money, all right? Don't expect to make, some agents, they want to make, $500 a week and they want to work 10 hours a week. Okay, so you're expecting to make $50 an hour? Really? That's a lot of money to expect to make at the beginning. Now, after you've been doing it for a couple of years and you got all the residual coming in, then you probably will make that much. But when you're first starting out, you're not going to make $50 an hour. You're probably going to make $10 an hour, and after that, you might make $20. So set a minimum expectation and say, look, as long as I'm making this much money, then I am not going to even consider other opportunities, because I'm going to focus on this for a few months. Guys, one thing I found is that for people that are outgoing, people that have good sales ability, people that are organized and disciplined, you're going to have opportunities come at you like crazy. You're always going to have opportunities. And usually a good opportunity will be even a better opportunity 3 months from now. And so I found that, give yourself some time to make one thing work. Make a decision. Say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make this merchant services business work. And as long as I make an X amount of money per hour, and you have your plan every month, how much money you want to make per hour as your minimum, and say, as long as I make at least that much, I'm going to stick with this business and I'm going to make it work. And that will help you to where you're not constantly second guessing yourself and constantly saying, well, boy, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I don't know, maybe I'll try something else. Oh, here's another opportunity. Here's another job offer. And what'll happen is you're never going to succeed at anything, because you're constantly trying to do all these different things. You got to focus on something to succeed. How many things are you working on right now? Ask yourself that question. How focused are you on this business? What other businesses? Do you have, a network marketing business on this side, and then you have the merchant services business in the middle, and then over here you have this other, part-time job that you're working in the morning, and then you have another, and boy, I'll tell you, after a while, it's like, how do you expect to succeed at any of those things? You have to be focused on something. Now, I understand sometimes you got to work a part-time job. And one of the best statements I have heard in this industry, a video I watched a long time ago, a guy said that talking about the merchant services business, he said you can work this business part-time or full-time, but you cannot succeed working sometimes. Okay? In other words, you can't work for 2 or 3 weeks and then take 2 or 3 weeks off. Then work for a week and then take 2 weeks off. Then work for 2 or 3 weeks. That does not work in this business, because you got to build your pipeline just like any other sales job. And also, if you work that way, your customers are not going to like your service. So you got to make a decision and say, I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to work this business for 2 or 3 months no matter what. I'm going to put this many hours into it, and I'm going to work this business, and I'm going to make it happen. And then, that will really help you in the business. So again, this is the number 3 reason that agents fail in the merchant services industry, is that they get caught up in another opportunity. And, usually I talk to them a year down the road and they think, man, and, they say, well, I'm still plugging away at this new opportunity. And I'm thinking, okay, if you would have been doing merchant services for a year full time, you'd probably already be making $60,000 a year in residual. Why in the world didn't you just stick with it for a year? Because a year down the road, they're still trying to make that new opportunity work. And now they're starting another opportunity and another opportunity. Guys, if you're going to be in business, you got to stick with something for a while. Business takes a while to succeed. but you'd be surprised how quickly that time will go by if you really focus on something and identify with it and publicly, your public identity is that business. I'm a merchant services salesperson. That's what I am. That's what I do. And if you stick with that for a while, the time will fly by, and before you know it, you're going to be making some really good money in this business. Number two. The number two reason, this is probably my favorite one as far as my favorite slide, because I've seen this so many times that it's painful, and I've never actually talked about it in a training video before, so here you go. I call it the downward income spiral, all right? I have seen so many agents fail. Really, this is really the number one reason that agents fail, but I'll show you the number one reason in a second that really has to do with this. But the downward income spiral is something that I see more and more and more than anything else. All the other reasons combined, this is the reason agents fail in the merchant services industry, and really any independent sales job for that matter. Here you go. You ready? We are going to go through the downward income sales cycle spiral. Number one, you're broke. Now, maybe you came into this industry without much savings. Maybe you came into this industry, and you're worried about, I've got to pay for my kids' college, I got to pay the mortgage. Maybe you came to the industry broke and you had past due bills, or your car was going to be repossessed or something, who knows. Or maybe you just, you're used to making a certain amount of money and now you're not making it in this industry. So step number one is you're broke. Step number two, because you're broke, you get discouraged. Say, oh, I can't believe I broke. Oh, I hate being broke. I don't have any money. Number three, you don't make any sales. Why? Because you're discouraged. And you get out there in the field and you're kind of moping around and you just, oh, I can't get out of bed in the morning. And once you get out there, you're just mopey and nobody wants to talk to you and you can't make any sales. So you're broke. You get discouraged. You don't make very many sales. So what's the result of that? Well, you're more broke because you didn't make any sales. So now you're more broke. So now you get more discouraged and you work less hours because you're so discouraged you just can't bring yourself to work this business. And some of you are there right now. Some of you, all you could do today was get out of bed and crawl onto this webinar, and you are just discouraged, broke, and you can't imagine getting out in the field and trying to sell today. You are caught in the downward income spiral. Number six, you make less sales, etc., etc., etc. That is a downward income spiral, and that is really the number one reason why agents fail in the merchant services industry is this spiral. Now, the next slide, the number one reason, I'm going to show you why you get into this spiral in the first place, but this is what happens. So number one, you get broke, then you get discouraged. So when you're discouraged, you guys know if you're discouraged, it's difficult to make sales, and it's even more difficult just to get out of bed and get out in the field. So then you become more broke and you get more discouraged and you work less, and then you make less sales, and then you're more broke, and then you're more discouraged and you make less sales, etc., etc., etc. I have seen that cycle play out dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And it's sad, but it is exactly what happens. And believe me, I know, because I've been in that cycle before. When I came to this industry, I was flat broke. And I promise you, when I came to the industry, I was at least as broke as you guys. I had a real estate company that I was working out of Chicago. And, I got in just as the bubble was bursting, which was great. So my wife and I were very broke when we got into this industry. We were very discouraged, and it was very difficult to get out in the field and make sales. And that would sometimes make me more broke. And then I would get more discouraged and I would want to work less. But I will show you the thing that I did in the next slide that allowed me to continue through that to succeed in the industry. Now, here's how you break this cycle. First of all, decide to work for 30 days. Decide to work for 30 days. Regardless of how many sales you make, regardless of how you feel or what you want to do or what you have going on, just say, I am going to work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day for the next 30 days. Okay? Make that decision. Now, in order to keep that decision and keep sane, you're going to have to make a worst case scenario financially and stick to it. Now, for some of you, you're in a good financial situation, and that's great. But it can still get discouraging, and it can still become distracting to you if you're in this business and you think you're going to make a certain amount of money and you don't. Even if you have money in the bank, it can still be discouraging. And so you need to make a worst case scenario financially and stick to it. Let me give you some advice, guys. If you don't have enough money to pay all of your bills, then decide which bills you're going to pay, which bills are going to be late, pay the bills you can pay, and then don't worry about it, because there's nothing you can do about it, okay? You have to make a decision and say, what's my worst case financial scenario, okay? You say, oh my goodness, I might not even make any money this week. What if I don't make money this week? Oh, I'm so worried about what if I don't make money this week, okay? What if you don't make money this week? What are you going to do? All right? Are you really going to be destitute? Are you really going to be living in a cardboard box somewhere? Probably not. There's probably something that you're going to do in order to make things continue to go in your life. So rather than waiting until you have to make that decision, and in the meantime you're so discouraged and so distraught that you can't even get out and sell, thus making your problem worse, go ahead and decide right now, what am I going to do about my money over the next month? Okay? Just make a plan and say, okay, my worst case scenario is this. I'm only going to make this much money. Share that scenario with your spouse. If you're married, share it with your spouse. You guys sit down together and say, okay, now, honey, I'm trying to start a business here, and it might not work for a while, and I've written down my worst case scenario. Now I'm going to tell you this is really ugly, but we need to talk about it and we need to figure out what we're going to do. Okay? If you're single, then sit down with yourself. Make out your plan and say, okay, I might not make any money. So what am I going to do if I don't make any money this week? Make your plan so that you can move on with your life. It's never too late to make a plan. Never. There's always time to make a plan. No matter how bad things get, you're still going to have to make some decisions, and you're always going to be better off making those decisions ahead of time so that you're prepared for them as they come. All right? So again, wherever you are at in this downward income spiral, if you think that you're stuck in the downward income spiral, realize that it's a major killer of agents in the merchant services industry, a major factor for failure. And so just decide to work for 30 days, make a worst case financial scenario, and then stick to that. All right, are you ready? Now, if I was on the Late Show with David Letterman, I would need like some kind of big graphic to come out here for the number one reason. This is our countdown, so here we go. Sorry, I don't have any fancy graphic today, but here we go. The number one reason that agents fail in the merchant services industry is a lack of accountability. Now, I'm going to give you a very simple 4-step plan that will keep you out of the downward income spiral and will really keep you from all of the other failures, to be honest with you, if you can just do this. Number one, make a plan. What an amazing idea. Can you imagine that? Make a plan. I'm sure you've never heard anyone tell you that before, but do you have a plan? Okay? You say, oh yeah, I know every business should have a plan. Do you? Have a plan, all right? Write down a plan. Number two, break that plan into action steps that you can control. The biggest mistake that people make when they make a plan is that they don't break it down into action steps they can control, all right? If your plan is, I'm going to make 4 sales a week, that's not a plan. You know why? Because you can't control that. You can't control if you get 3, 4, 5, 6 sales. You have no idea how many sales you're going to get next week, and you really can't control it. What you can control is how many new businesses you're going to walk into, how many hours you're going to work, all right? How many phone calls you're going to make. You can control that. So look at the things you can control and break your plan down into those action steps. Now, of course, your plan also has results in it. But what I'm saying is results and action steps are two different things. Action steps lead to results. So break down your plan into action steps that you can control and make sure you do those things. Now, when we talk about accountability and being accountable to someone, I would tell you that, I have agents ask me this question. I have agents ask me and say, James, what is the number one thing, the number one, number that I can track and that I can be accountable to in this industry? What is the main thing that I should track to see how I'm doing and to know if I'm going to be able to succeed? And I would answer without hesitation that the most important number for you to track and for you to be accountable to someone is the time that you start working in the morning. Now, many of you would think, well, that's kind of a weird number. Wouldn't you say it'd be the number of businesses you walk into, or it would be, whatever, the number of sales you get, the number of calls you make? No, it's not. The number one thing that you could be accountable for that would help you to succeed in this industry is what time do you start work in the morning? That's the number one reason that agents fail, is that they don't have a time that they start work in the morning. Let me give you a really specific example, okay? Let's say that you have somebody that is a very trusted advisor, a business advisor, a good friend of yours maybe that's a good business person, and you would like to be accountable to that person. Here's what I would do. Let's say you're just getting started in the merchant services industry. I would go to that person. Let's say their name is Jonathan. I'd say, John, We've been friends for a long time, and I, as I told you, I've switched from my job that I had over to credit card processing sales. I'm starting a merchant services business, and John, I'm a little worried because I had a job before where I had to be at work at a certain time and I had to leave at a certain time, but now I don't have that structure anymore. And I'd like to ask a favor. I'd like for you to help me stay accountable during the next 30 to 60 days while I develop that good habit. And I'm wondering if I could do something, John. Could I text you every morning when I get to my first business that I'm prospecting? Once I pull in the parking lot of the first business I'm going to walk into, I'm going to send you a text message, John. And I want to commit to you to keep me accountable that I'm going to send you that text no later than 8:30 every morning. So every morning by 8:30, John, you're going to get a text from me that says, I'm at my first appointment. I'm going to tell you the name of the business I'm at. And that way you can hold me accountable. And if I send you that text at 10 o'clock in the morning, John, then I want you to text me back and ask me what happened. And I want you to hold me accountable because I got to start work by 8:30 every day. All right. That is really what success is all about. You read all these books and success is all, wonderful and glamorous and it's all about positive energy and getting rid of negative thoughts and all that. And that stuff's important to a point. But you know what's really important? Starting work on time in the morning. That's really important. If you haven't learned how to start work on time in the morning, you can lay in bed and think positively all you want, but it's not going to get you any sales. You got to get out in the field and you got to make some sales. All right. So number one is make a plan. Number two, break that plan into action steps that you can control. Number three, share that plan with someone you respect and trust. 3 people that are just possible, it could be anybody, that you would stay accountable to. Number 1 would be your spouse. Now, you know your spouse better than anybody else. So you know if your spouse is the right person for this. Your spouse is going to have to be someone that they understand how to wear different hats. They can hold you accountable during the day to get your work done, and then in the evening they can take that hat off and just be a loving spouse and not be worried about what you did that day at work. They can just comfort you when you have a rough day. So that's a unique person that can do that. And so, you have to understand if your spouse is like that. And if they're not, that's fine. That's not really a character flaw. That's just a personality type. Some people are able to do that. Some people are not. If your spouse can't, then don't ask him or her to hold you accountable. Next would be a business advisor, someone that you trust and respect. This might also be a pastor. This might also be somebody in a, community organizer's position that you know well, that you respect and trust, whatever it is. Somebody that you trust. If you don't have anybody in that category that fits the bill, then go to score.org. Find your local SCORE chapter. These are retired executives. Trust me, they know how to get out of bed in the morning, and they've been doing it for years, and they will help you be accountable to your plan. And they'll get you a plan. Number 4 is schedule a time of accountability with that person. Again, like I said, if it's getting up every day, then it's a daily accountability where you text that person or you email them or whatever. You might also want to have a weekly accountability time where you email them a report that shows the action steps that you can control. You said, I'm going to work this many hours on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You said, I'm going to walk into this many businesses each day. And at the end of the week, you send that person a report that shows your actual, production. How many businesses did you visit on Monday? How many hours did you work on Tuesday? Put those numbers in and send it to that person and be accountable to that person. The number one reason that agents fail in this industry is, without a doubt, in my mind, a lack of accountability. And guys, I know this is true because I'm the same way. I'm not some, Superman that's, I just have a character oozing out of my ears. I'm accountable to people. And if I'm not accountable to people, I don't get things done. One thing, guys, it'll be a great day for you when you get to the point in your life where you stop trusting yourself. That will be a great day for you. When you stop trusting that, I can get myself up in the morning and I can develop good habits on my own. I don't need any help. I don't need any advice. I don't need any counsel. That kind of attitude will get you a failure in business 99 times out of 100. And the other 1% of the time you're going to be miserable while you succeed. So, find some people that you trust. Humble yourself. Be humble enough to go to somebody you trust and say, hey, you know what? I hope you understand here. I mean, I'm not trying to say I have a problem in this area, but I just want to be accountable to somebody for a little while I develop this good habit. And if you don't mind, I'd like to text you every morning to, let you know I'm going to get up. Too many agents get so worried about the plan. I have agents talk to me all the time and they say, boy, I'm working on this plan. As soon as I get this plan done, I'm going to get out there in the field and start working it. And it's a 21-page plan, and it outlines the next 3 years. Is there anything you can think of that I should make in my plan? And I tell them, yeah, you know what? I can make your plan for you in about 5 minutes. It'd be pretty easy, okay? How many businesses are you going to visit each day? How many hours are you going to work each day? What time are you going to start work? What time are you going to end work? And who are you going to be accountable to do those things? That's it. That's all you really need for a plan. So again, guys, I hope this webinar was helpful to you. Now I'm going to open it up for questions. Again, this wasn't a very technical webinar, so I don't know how many questions we're going to have. We do have a lot of people on the webinar today. But let me know if you guys have any, if you have any questions. What you can do is put your hand up over to the right. There's a little button you can click to raise your hand. Looks like Ken asks, how do you work the same area over and over, and or must you continue to go further and further away? Boy, that's a great question, Ken. And the answer is that, again, let me read that question again so you guys will hear it, because it's a great question. How do you work the same area over and over, or must you continue to go further and further away? I absolutely work areas over and over and over, and here's how you do it. The way you do it is by recording information, all right? If I go down a street, all right, let's give you an example. Okay, let's say there's a street in my town that has 50 businesses on it, all right? If I go down that street with 50 businesses and I walk into all 50, I'm probably going to end up talking with 10 business owners out of those 50 the first time through, and if I do effective follow-up, I'm probably going to end up talking to 20 of those 50 businesses. Of those 20, probably 2 or 3 of them are going to become sales, maybe 4 or 5, depending on how good you are and how your market is. So you sold 5 of those 50 businesses. The other 15 of the 20 that you actually spoke to, 5 of them are going to be very much not interested and probably not good prospects at all. But the other 10 are going to be interested, but they, for whatever reason, can't justify purchasing from you right now. So now let's fast forward 3 months down the road. 3 months down the road, I now go back to that street with 50 businesses. I now know a couple things. Number one, there are 5 businesses on that street that I'm going to walk into because they're my clients. So I want to say hi, and I want to try to get references and referrals from them. All right. Those 5 business owners are probably going to give me 10 names of the remaining businesses that are on that street, okay? I've had many times where the first time through a street, I had somebody that was just rude to me and had no interest in my service whatsoever. 3 months later, I come back, one of my clients gives me that person's name, I go back to that person and say, hey, my name's James Shepard, and you probably don't remember me, I was here a few months ago, but Joe Blow over here at XYZ Company, he referred me to you. And that person will buy because of the reference and the referral, will actually listen to me. So I have 5 businesses I'm going to walk into because they're my clients. I have 5 businesses I'm not going to walk into because I know they're a waste of my time. So that saves me some time. That leaves me with 40 additional businesses to walk into. And with those 40 businesses, if I did my job right the first time through, I probably already know who they're using for their credit card processing. I probably know the name of the secretary, or I know the name of some of the clerks there and who I talked to last time. I probably know what type of equipment they're using. So all that information, as you record it, that's why organized follow-up is so important. You got to have all this information written down, and you would be shocked how great it is to be able to go back in and say, hi, my name's James Shepard. I stopped in here a few months ago and talked to Susan about the credit card processing, and at that time you guys were using follow-up. We're having some specials right now, and I really would like to give you guys a free cost analysis. Is Jerry in today? I know Susan said he was the manager. Okay, boy, I'll tell you, just that extra little bit of information that you have can make all the difference when you come back and start fresh 3 months later. So to answer your question, you can absolutely do the same area over and over and over and over and over and over again, and that is the most profitable way to run your business. Take like a 20-minute, 20 to 30-minute, circumference there around your office, and you just keep hitting that same area over and over and over, and every 3 to 6 months, you go back on the same street, but every time you do, you have more and more information, and it becomes more and more easy to make sales on that street. Great question, Ken. All right, I think that is it. Let me see if I got any other questions, and I don't. All right, thanks everybody so much for joining the webinar. You guys have a wonderful day today.